Well, we got a little rain overnight, which is a perfect time to make a muddy mess with the backhoe. Why don't you come check it out? So my friend Don is on his way down to West Virginia, but he's going to swing by our place in southern Ohio. And I thought he could bring down a culvert pipe and some conduit for me. He's also got to put his UTV on the trailer, but it looks like all that stuff is going to fit.
Well, a couple might slide a little bit.
Our main goal is to install this Starlink cable underground. So we're going to run some conduit from our shed and over to the new house. The Starlink cable is 150 feet long. And just to future-proof this project, we're going to add a couple more cables in the conduit with it. First thing we need to do is see the anatomy of the new house here. I was hoping that maybe there was a chase that went down to the crawl space, but there isn't. There's a little tube that goes up to another box on that same wall, but it looks like it's pretty solid down there by the sill plate. I purchased a 3-foot flexible bit for my cordless drill.
Want to switch spots?
What do you mean?
Me do that, you do this?
Just go slow.
Anything under there?
There is like a cross brace going all the way across that could be in the same area, but it, you know, if you go 3 inches on either side, you might miss it.
As I'm looking at the wall, or as I'm standing at the front of the house?
If you're looking at the front of the house from left to right. Yeah. I need you to like get close to the fabric that's on the bottom here. There's probably like 8 inches of insulation in between it. Okay, you're good. This 3-foot bit has holes drilled in each end of it, so you could tie some string to it and be able to pull it through the walls whichever direction you're going to take that bit.
Should I spin it to try to get it to come out?
Just slightly. I wouldn't go too crazy. Nice. I feel like I'm giving birth to a breech cow. Yeah. I think you got the wrong hole. No, I think you got the wrong hole. I don't got nothing. All right, I see you right over it. There you go. Something's coming through. Hang on. Of course, the Starlink cable has proprietary ends on it, so it's not like you can fasten an end and just put the cable itself through. You have to do it with the ends. This end will attach to the receiver, the satellite that's going to go outside, and it is tapered compared to the one that goes inside. Back when installing the block for the crawl space, I had them put some PVC pipe in the walls here in the corner, so I'm going to use one of those today. It's dead center where the vent is and about 3 blocks down. It's probably.
That should be good, huh?
Yep.
Don't need to uncover any of that.
No.
All right, we don't need to again.
This is going to be a little unconventional. We're stretching out all the lines together, and then we're going to thread our 10-foot sections of conduit back towards the house, gluing each section one at a time. As for the trench, this is a pretty steep part of the yard here, and I'm hoping that the backhoe can stretch out far enough that I can meet it on the other side when I go to the lower portion of the driveway. I have two trenches started here, one by the house and then right where I just was where the hill starts going down. Now I need to bridge the gap between the two. This is where a mini excavator would come in handy because you can make a nice straight trench. I've got to move the tractor sideways in order for me to do it this way because you really can't drive over the trench.
A rock.
Get out. There's a rock down there. It's about as high as I can get the tractor going up that hill. You really can't tell how steep it is, and I mentioned this a lot of times before. The camera really doesn't do it justice, but it is pretty steep right here, and I'm hoping that I can bridge this gap now. This is the old conduit that was going from the shed to the old cabin. This is where the size of the 1025R actually came in handy because I wanted to hug this as close as I could to the shed, plus get under the overhang a little bit, and I don't think I could have did that with a larger tractor. Now I apologize for the video here, it got a little blurry, out of focus for some reason. I think it was a camera error. But instead of digging sideways like I did closer to the house, I'm going to try to just straddle this whole trench the whole time, and then I won't be able to go anywhere until it's covered back up. But I cut it pretty close between the two trenches right now trying to turn around. I didn't give myself too much room. Now I should be able to finish this trench by slowly going back towards the shed. straddling the trench, making my way back towards the shed, and I just have enough room to get the bucket around that post without one of the front tires falling into the trench.
Keep coming. Keep going. Okay, that's it. That's all you got.
The reason we were working our way back with the conduit, not just trying to pull everything through towards the end, was I did not want to spend all this time down in the crawl space hunched over, trying to feed things so they don't get tangled up down there. I thought it'd be much easier to do everything outside. All right, let's take a little break here because there's a lot more of this to cover. You saw that the Starlink cable that's going in. There's also electric line, and I know I'm going to get criticized about sharing electric with a communications cable. The wiring, electric wire is 10 gauge wire, so I'm going to use a 30 amp breaker back at the panel to run over to here into the shed. My friend Don was able to get me the 10 gauge wire to use through here. It's going to stay in conduit. We're going to have to put some conduit now into the shed to try to keep the mice from chewing on any of that before I just had the outdoor Romex strung in there with the old cabin. And then also a coax cable that I'm throwing in there. But we also had an issue when I got here with the water. Our water tank was empty. I wasn't sure if I just lost track of it or not, but we did call for a water delivery. When we opened up the tank cover, it looked like a lot of sediment had got in there again, so there's still a leak somewhere. We topped off the water. We had a water delivery come out and they topped it off. And when they filled it all the way to the top, we noticed that water was leaking out at a good rate, and then it stopped at the level of where the pipe comes out. So there's like a little knockout in the concrete tank, and then the pipe for the water supply going into the house comes out of that knockout into the house. There's another knockout on the other side of that tank that hasn't been used yet. That is where the spring is going to get tapped into, or if you had a well or something like that. So I'm not sure which end it's leaking, but it seems to be on the level of those knockouts. One side I could see pretty easily with a camera that there wasn't nothing obvious, no obvious holes that didn't get pushed out by pressure or anything like that. But that needs to be addressed because if water's coming out, it can also come in. We also noticed when they were filling up the tank with the water delivery that it was leaking at the very first rim that usually comes installed by the manufacturer of the tank.
Or where that flange is that comes into the tank, it may not be set down on that tank just right, that's why it's leaking. That shouldn't be dripping. Because we've not splashed new water and everything, all the water's been going down.
So it might be leaking right there. It doesn't appear to be leaking into the risers that were installed on it. So there's 3 items to be addressed with the water tank. It's losing pressure while we're away. So if we go away for a week and come back, the pressure tank has lost pressure and I need to go back and reprime it, which I don't care for having to crawl underneath the house every time we come back here after a week of being away. Another thing is that water is coming in or going out at those knockout points. And then lastly, it looks like it's leaking from the top where the original seal comes from the manufacturer. So what to do about all that? It's not going to happen quickly. I think it might have to wait till spring actually to get repaired. So I told the gentleman that installed it that we still need to put a spring in, so it doesn't make too much of a sense to try to solve this now and wait till maybe that spring is going to go in when the heavier equipment is here to uncover that tank and almost time it with a water delivery so I can get it filled to the top and then see where water is coming out if we expose the tank. I really don't want to do it this time of year now because we're starting to get into the colder temperatures. We even have a frost warning tonight. So it doesn't make sense to try to take care of this now. We're probably just going to have to baby it and watch it. The water does clear up after a couple days, but there's a lot of sediment that just shouldn't be in there. If I'm getting potable water delivered, it's no longer potable if it starts getting infiltrated with outside germs and mud and sediment. So that's going on, and we were also able to put up a stand real quick that I had a heck of a time trying to do by myself. Don and I were able to put it up before he leaves so I could do a little bit of hunting in the evenings. So that worked out good. We're going to get back to this trench. We have to cover it up and still dress up the driveway in the main area down here by this shed. A lot of work to be done on that. We'll pick up with that next week. And then also, that's not it for the backhoe. The backhoe is also going to have to get used to put a culvert pipe in over here. It's going to go over here off the side by the driveway to help alleviate the little dip you have to drive over if you're taking the UTV up our hill. So that'll make a little bridge for us over there. Also, that might make it easier for us to get the tractor in more areas with that little bridge to drive over. So a lot going on. I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one's coming out. And keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody.